You can't miss me, I'm... green? Hey guys, MasakoX here. We continue What If Week with musing the story about what would have happened if one of Vegeta's other minions joined the side of good and the Z Fighters. It's not Raditz this time though. No, we're talking about the other one. The big lug with the bald head. That is of course Nappa. What if Nappa turned good? For the last 5 parts, we've really covered a lot. Right from the moment when the big guy's life was turned way upside down, right up to the point where he's basically going toe-to-toe with the likes of Gohan, who is now under the control of Babidi, Majin Gohan. And in this world, Tenshinhan and Chaozu, loyal members of the Z Fighters in the original story, have turned against them, and, resultingly, they lost their lives in a very merciless way. Check out the last part for the details. So the last episode ended with Goku and Gohan having a bit of a showdown, Gohan in the Majin form of course, being controlled by Babidi's evil magic. Kami got turned into stone, Kibito's out of the equation, and of course Nappa got beaten up by his nephew. Things are looking kinda grim for our heroes, not knowing where to go. But before we can focus on the meat and potatoes of the story, we need to head back to the 25th World Martial Arts Tournament and figure out the conclusion for that. It's very important to discuss because it's not simply Mr. Satan winning the series, no, it's all focusing around androids 17 and 18. Mr. Satan is no longer the star of the show. In the finale, we had the duel of the century, brother versus sister. And this is the scenario that I actually left to you in the poll. Who would actually win between them? And by quite a large amount, you guys chose it would be number 17 to take the victory. Well, I mean, I guess he's been in the news lately, no wonder people want him to do well. The fight for the most part was pretty even, but ultimately 17 got the jump on 18, saying that the reason why he did so well is because he learnt a few tricks from Nappa. He's been on his game. But hey, 18 isn't all that fussed about losing, because despite the fact she's not going to get the big prize, coming second involves a neat little paycheck in its own right. And hey, the brother and sister pair, they're quids in. Speaking of Nappa though, Krillin then can sense something is wrong. They've been so fixated on the fight right here that they've kind of forgot that loads of people just ditched the tournament. But then they realise that their Saiyan buddy is in big trouble. After getting their prizes in a really haphazard fashion, the 3 of them then set off to try and aid their buddy. By the time they get to Nappa's location, they are really in the thick of it. It's all kicking off here. We've got Goku and Gohan trading blows with one another in a rather barbaric fashion. We've got Kami and Kibito just there in stone. What just happened right here? They didn't sense Goku and Gohan because they were so fixated on getting to Nappa, and he's not in a good way either. And besides, the way Goku and Gohan are going right now, the guys can't really see it going on anyway. It's just an unstoppable mash of flurries and wind attacks and just stuff like that. It's really hard to follow. Nappa is devastated by what he's seeing. He didn't want Goku and Gohan to be fighting each other. This is really bringing him back bad memories from the time when Vegeta betrayed him all those years ago. These flashbacks he thought he'd repressed, no, they're bubbling back up to the surface again, and he is starting to lose it. In order to try and help, Krillin hands Nappa a Sensu Bean! Now re-energized, Nappa does his best to try and stop the fight himself. But maybe he can get them to actually stop trying to kill each other. As that's going on, Krillin and the androids notice that Babidi and Dabura are transferring the energy into the sealed ball that would release Majin Buu. To make things all the more complicated, as well as slightly awkward, unbeknownst to them, they were followed also by a rather disgruntled and disgraced Mr. Satan. He wants a rematch and wants to know what kind of tricks they were playing in order for them to get the win. They must have been cheating. 17 and 18 then decide to go against Dabura directly, but then they are stopped by a much weakened Dabura. The fight commences. The fight between Goku and Gohan continues unabated, with Nappa seeing no signs of it stopping anytime soon. But then suddenly, he notices something about Goku. Something's not right. Is he holding back? Yeah, he's holding back. Nappa shouts to Goku, who clearly is in control of the fight really, that they need to stop this thing because that blasted wizard is trying to release that thing. Nappa didn't quite understand what was going on right here, but luckily for him, Shin is right there to fill in all the gaps. But unfortunately, all of their screams of despair and trying to convince the pair to stop are lost because those 2 Saiyans, they're going right at it. And then to top it all off, they're charging 2 Kamehamehas that are just about to connect. This is Nappa's moment. He realizes that he has to interrupt them directly. He then flies between the two beams and tries to stop them from colliding. Goku and even Gohan spot Nappa moving from in between the beams and are stunned as to what's happening. They don't know what he's trying to do. But then, something happens. A slight green spark. The beams are slightly warping. A green glow is growing. It's Nappa. He is emanating green energy from outside of himself. He lets out a mighty and ungodly roar. He has swollen up to an immense size, dwarfing even the likes of Broly, and is just letting out his despair and anger and guilt in this huge frenzy of fury, and it's catching Goku and Gohan off guard. This berserker Nappa slaps the beams away as if they were nothing, and then just slaps Goku and Gohan in the face, sending them straight to the ground, trying to just stop it the only way he now knows how. No! Stop! Enough! The father and son right at that moment can see what's happening to their friend, and they are not liking what they see. But speaking of the guy, he is overwhelmed by this new power, and he cannot tap into it for much longer. He falls out of the power, and then collapses onto the ground. He is left drained, dazed, and confused, but still alive. Deep in Barbody's craft, Android 18 and 17 and Krillin are able to now finish off the weakened Dabura, with 18 kicking his head clean off. Ooh, okay. This isn't Dr. Gero, guys. Like in the original story, this undoes the spit curse from Kami and Kibito. They return to normal with no recollection of what happened after they were petrified, and they basically witness an entire mix of carnage and destruction. After a brief moment they're trying to get their bearings, they then go and rejoin their heroes to try and figure out what happened. But sadly for them, Barbody has succeeded in beginning the process to unseal the ball. As in the original, Majin Buu has now been released, and it's up to our heroes to try and fight him directly. They all go at it together, thinking that they might be able to get the upper hand with numbers, but it's quite clear that they are not going to get anything on this guy. Despite this guy being powerful, he can also regenerate in a way that's even more remarkable and faster than Piccolo's. In a desperate move to try and end the battle as soon as possible, Kami thinks that maybe if he can take out Barbody, he might be able to stop Buu, kind of like with the whole Dabura spit curse thing. They've got nothing else, so why not? Meanwhile, Gohan, who's slowly beginning to regain control of his mind, is starting to feel remorse and guilt for what he's done over the last few years towards Nappa in particular. All of his transgressions and rebellions, he's feeling really awful right now. Despite Nappa and Videl trying to tell him to calm down and just get away from here to recover, he decides to go full power against Buu to try and make amends. Gohan lets out a huge ki blast that drains almost all of his energy, including his life force, thinking that might vaporize Majin Buu, but whatever damage he does, it's quickly regenerated away. Gohan collapses to the ground, and Goku tells Nappa and Videl, as well as pretty much everyone else, to take him to the lookout, so that means he can recover with maybe a senzu bean. Up on the lookout, Kami is able to use his magic to rid of any hint of Barbody's influence from Gohan's mind. It is right here, up on the lookout, that we witness Gohan and Nappa finally making up and apologizing for all of the behavior that they've inflicted on one another. Nappa admits that the reason why he was so overprotective was not because of Chi-Chi, it was because he was so desperate to cling on to the family that he had, and this was basically his reason for living and his understanding. After Vegeta betrayed him all those years ago, he had nothing left. Goku gave him a chance to have a second life, and he doesn't want to let go of it. Not to mention for the fact that he was really proud of Gohan and his power and potential. He wanted to capitalize on that and make sure that Gohan could do his best. After hearing all of that, Gohan feels really selfish and feels really bad for what he's done. Like, Nappa tried his best to try and make his life fulfilling and as best as it could do, and he just threw it back in his face. Together, they decide to do whatever they can to make things right. We then head back down to Earth, where Goku's fight with Majin Buu, including the Super Saiyan 3 transformation, continues as it does in the anime. Sadly, the form doesn't last for very long, but Goku's able to convince Majin Buu to wait a little longer so that another challenger might be able to actually pop up somewhere and give Buu yet another fight that he will love. Luckily for him, Buu accepts his proposition and decides to just fart around on Earth for a while, build a house, and just chill out. And sure enough, like in the original, somehow, bizarrely, he befriends Mr. Satan. With Buu distracted, Goku then heads up to the lookout where everyone else is and gathers them all. However, he can feel that his time on Earth is very short. Fortune teller Barber will be arriving any moment to collect him. So, he has to make his goodbyes, and he begins to set off when Barber arrives. But then, just as they're about to be teleported away, Nappa grabs Goku's arm. And in the mix, Gohan grabs Nappa's arm as well. And the three of them not just Goku, are then transported to the other world in a mixture of confusion and just like, did they just bail on us? In the confusion, Barber spits them out of the sacred world of the Kais because leave it to them to figure it out. It's Shin that basically is ruling the roost here. And as that's going on, the whole Satan Buu thing, it resolves itself in the typical fashion. Poor B, I still feel really bad for the dog. The androids and Kami do their best to hold Super Buu back, but it's ultimately worthless and they are absorbed by the monster. Meanwhile, Gohan and Nappa are alongside Goku on the sacred world of the Kais. Now that they're here, they can try and do their best and train. And then Shin hits upon the idea of the Z-Sword. That might be able to do something for them. And in the confusion, Nappa and Gohan break the Z-Sword, free the Elder Kai, and then it's just like, oh, it seems like it might be too late. From the viewing globe, they can see that Super Buu has now been generated and is basically destroying the planet. However, the Elder Kai isn't all that worried. There might be another way to save the day, and it's something that he is wearing on his ears. That is Potara fusion. Seeing a chance before them right here and now, Gohan and Nappa do not hesitate. Without a second thought, they grab the earrings and demand to be taken back to Earth, so that means they can try and stop this tyrant. Kibito then teleports them into the fray, with Super Buu looking rather triumphant upon their return. Oh, look! Oh, these two, you're going to have a little bit of a squabble now, are you? Oh, this'll be fun. Ooh, can I watch? Can I watch? But there isn't going to be a squabble today. The only thing they're going to be doing is putting the earrings on and enacting the Potara fusion. Together, in the brilliant white light, we see a big, bulky, and now fully haired, banged down person. That is, of course, Nappa. The resulting fusion is a rather impressive one, as well as a determined one. Thanks to a combination of years of combat experience, immense guilt from what's happened from the pair of them, as well as really good strength, this fusion is not something to trifle with, because this isn't just Gohan's technical strength and aptitude. This is, of course, the fact that Nappa is a brute deep down. He is a brawler. This guy is an all-rounder, and a very good one at that. This power is more than enough to take out this kind of monster, because remember, this isn't like the likes of Buuhan. However, before they can completely incinerate this monster, Mr. Satan, in an act of desperation, shouts out to them to spare this guy's life because the good Buu, the one he befriended, is still inside of him and he might be taken out in the carnage. Nappa takes this on board, and thanks to Gohan's reasoning, they then decide that only one monster needs to die today. Without a second thought, and thanks to Nappa's brutish and bluntish ways, they just get their hand, open up Buu's mouth, put their mouth inside of it, and just literally grab out organ after organ and just pulling every one of their friends out, that whole orb thing. It's really random and I know it's pretty weird, but hey, that arc was pretty weird, so why not? Just get to the point. Super Buu is flying off the handle and in the middle of transforming into what would be Kid Buu. However, now, because of Gohan and the technical thing and wanting to do things that are right, Nappa just blasts this guy away mid-transformation, being completely unorthodox in the likes of Dragon Ball and not letting anyone transform, and yeah, Buu's toast. All of this thanks to a mighty volcano explosion. After they've had a time to cool down, and when the time limits run out, Nappa then defuses. Everyone's saved! And thanks to Kami being freed as well, everyone else on the Earth is saved too because the Dragon Balls are back! Nappa and Gohan then ask Shin and Kibito for one last favour. A quick round trip to the Namek, so that means they can use the Namekian Dragon Balls to revive Goku once and for all. Because after all this carnage, they really need Goku here to help them out. And ultimately, Goku is convinced that, yeah, he probably should stay. After all is said and done, Chi-Chi is glad that Gohan's now on speaking terms with them again, and ultimately decides that the way that Gohan wants to live his life, it's up to him really. She kind of accepts his decision. And not only that, Nappa and Chi-Chi have made up again, so yay! It's all good. Not long after the 25th World Martial Arts Tournament, the committee decide to have a 26th World Martial Arts Tournament not long after that, and this time it's won by Android 18. After all is said and done and all the antics that she's been up to in the Buu arc, Android 18 decides that she's going to start training harder, right after the birth of her and Krillin's daughter, Maron. As for the Saiyans, well, what do you think? They're busy training. Everything is all good, at least for now. Well, that was weird. That's not right. Usually I say, so what do you guys think? Wait, no, this part's supposed to be over. Guys, This is weird. No, this isn't right. Something's gone wrong. Wait, hang on. I feel like something's changed in the script. What's going on? No, this can't be right. What? Wait, who's this? What are they doing with the Dragon Ball?